But when I was studying self-hypnosis during the course, I felt these two very strong angel type beings just behind me, behind my shoulders. They were almost there as steadiness. And then suddenly I was in this meadow, this beautiful meadow with mountains in the distance. For some reason, I don't know why, because I never grew up with this in my life. The energy of Jesus was there in the meadow with me. So hi, thanks for having me. My name is Hilary Leehane. I'm a hypnosis specialist, and I work in the realm of spiritual hypnosis along with stuck emotions that people deal with all the time. Um, I had my own spiritual experiences along the way, an OBE of sorts, and also in my earlier life, um, sort of an NDE-like experience. So two of those. So I'm going to go over the two NDE-like experiences and then sort of transform into the OBE because I think they all mean something in my life and have led me to where I am today. So if I go back in time to my early 20s, I was sleeping, so I have no idea. I'll never know if I died or not, but learning about NDEs later in life, I was captivated and I thought, wow, I had no idea about them at the time, but that sounds very familiar. And so my first NDE-like experience was sleeping. It was early morning, and all of a sudden I am sort of shooting through a tunnel. And the tunnel has these beautiful purples, reds, and a light at the end. And as I'm approaching the light, as I'm going upwards through the tunnel, I can hear this beautiful, beautiful sound all around me of angelic voices, almost singing, a choir getting louder and louder and louder. Um, and then I didn't reach the light. As you hear a lot, you slamming back into your body. And I woke up and I thought, wow, that was amazing. There wasn't any residual like feelings around it. There wasn't that intense love feeling. But when I think back, the reason why I think it's so profound and possibly something more to it than just a memory or a dream is because when I think about it, I'm in the tunnel. It happened 20 years ago and I'm there. So then fast forward 10 years and I'm 31 and I'm asleep again and I have this experience, this beautiful experience that is full of love, lots of light. I'm sort of horizontally lifting out of my body, but I'm not in my bedroom. I'm on a beach and there's waves sort of lapping over my legs. And as I'm going up into this beautiful light, I think to myself, wow, I'm dying. I'm okay with this because it was just so inviting. I mean, the feeling, as people say, is indescribable. And then I thought, a quick thought of, well, I don't want to leave my partner at that time. And right away, as soon as I had that thought, I was back in my body, in a sense. So here comes 2018, and I had worked and worked and been a student for a long time. My ego drove my student years and took me down the road of industrial design, so making products. My soul just did not want anything to do with that, apparently. And in 2018, I wound up with a rare sleeping disorder and the subsequent anxiety and symptoms of depression. So, hypnosis, this is where we sort of trickle into hypnosis, is hypnosis helped me come out of that, which was just amazing. And I decided after all those years of studying all kinds of things and winding up in the corporate world, that I was going to study hypnosis and help people the way that it helped me. So I studied hypnosis, and the OBE happened while I was in self-hypnosis. Now, I can't say this happens for everybody. It was my own journey. But when I was studying self-hypnosis during the course, I felt suddenly these two very strong angel type beings just behind me, behind my shoulders. They were almost there as steadiness, to keep me grounded, maybe in my body as I look back at over the years, trying to unpack it. And then suddenly I was in this meadow, this beautiful meadow with mountains in the distance. And for some reason, I don't know why, because I never grew up with this in my life, but the archetype, the energy of Jesus was there in the meadow with me. On my left, there was many, many people I didn't recognize. And then suddenly, I was playing out karma with these people. It seemed to be from past lives, I should say. And it was so jarring, you can imagine, playing out karma with all these people almost all at once. I snapped out of it, and I was back there in my chair in the room in the training center with those angels still there. So I thought, I want to get back there. I don't know how I did it, but I did it. And I got back there, and then Jesus was there again. But this time, Jesus was directly in front of me, and all the people that I had played that karma out with were all lined up shoulder to shoulder in this long line down my left side. And Jesus would hand me this beautiful stone or crystal, this blue stone or crystal, and I would take that crystal and turn towards the person in the line and place it in their heart center, and it would sort of meld into their heart, into their body. And I mean, I didn't get through the whole crowd, but maybe 2 or 3 people in. And then I came back to my body once again in the training center. At that time, I thought, wow, that was amazing. I was a little nervous to share. I did not share it with my peers. There was an opportunity to share things that we experienced during self-hypnosis, but I was a little nervous, especially because of the whole Jesus aspect. So that's just half of it. The night carried on. There was a snowstorm, of course. Felt like every night I went to that training, there was a snowstorm, but I had to drive home afterwards. And on my way home, I started to have this back and forth with God or Jesus or Source, the universe, and I was basically being told to clean up my diet, try not to drink. For me, it was not eating meat at the time. And I argued a little bit with this, I don't even know what it was, God. And I said, well, like, what about a drink on the weekend? Or, what about, and basically the message was, drinking sort of shields your ability to connect. So by the time I got home, about 45 minutes later, I was on cloud 9. Like, I felt just so connected to my higher self, the universe, there was no question in my mind that we don't end here. There absolutely no question. If I could bottle that feeling that I had all over, I would bottle it and hand it out to everybody. And that feeling of elation carried on for a few weeks, which was lovely. And it really, I mean, if it was told to me in my mind, you know, don't eat that, yes, eat that, don't do that, yes, do that, I would listen. There was no arguing at that time. So after a few weeks, the elation feeling just sort of dissipated, and I grasped. I grasped for that feeling back because I was just like, where did it go? What did I do? What happened? And over the years, as I've unpacked it, I think what had happened was, you know, when we have these high vibration spiritual experiences, the body needs to catch up to the mind in a sense. And so over the course of 3 weeks, I believe that my body caught up, and then the feeling within the body sort of neutralized in a sense. And so the wonderful thing though about this experience is I used to deal with a lot of fears, a lot of um, jealousies and fears about so many things. And um, all of that dissipated. All of that dissipated. And the amazing thing is it never came back in the way that it was beforehand. Um, so even though the elation is gone, I'm so happy that the fears are gone. I feel more connected to source. And so that started my path to integrating spiritual awareness into hypnosis, and really working with people that are on a spiritual path to move through stuck emotions, stuck energies, and into the life that they want to be living or feel like they're moving towards, in a sense. So in my hypnosis practice, we have sort of a little saying: an event plus a meaning plus an emotion equals your experience. When we look at that sentence in hypnosis, we look at the meaning, always look at the meaning. If you can change the meaning of a past event, you change your emotion that you wind up having with it, and then it changes your experience. So in a meditative state, self-hypnosis state, which are very similar, if not exactly the same, um, we can go back in time in our mind and just sort of hold experiences, hold events in your mind. Um, an example, so I'll tell you what I take my clients through, is I always have them have a support system there, whether that's a loved one, a deceased loved one, a pet sometimes, or their higher self, or God, or Jesus even. That support system goes along with you. So in a meditative state or self-hypnotic state, hold in your mind an old event. When I say hold in your mind is don't be in the event, sort of be the observer of the event, almost like a scientist would observe something. And with you, choose a support system. Choose something or somebody to go along with you. And ask that support system, what is the wisdom about this event, so that I can let go of that emotion? Now, the wisdom is the new meaning, right? So you find a new meaning now through your support system that's there, or the universe. You don't have to have a being there along with you. You can just ask the universe or your subconscious mind. But that, in order to change emotions, is probably, I mean, one of the most powerful ways to do it, is looking at and changing the meaning of the event. And there's lots of meanings to have. You may find that you're thinking, well, I don't know how to apply a new meaning. It couldn't have a meaning, a different meaning. But if you're in that meditative state, if you're, connecting, you will find so much new meaning in that past event. So it's important to release the emotional aspects of the past, especially if it's influencing your present moment. Unresolved emotions from your past, all the way from day one forward. It's a metaphor that I like to use is your body is like a file cabinet. And when you don't process an emotion in the way that you might want to as an adult now, as a child, teenager, young adult, we take those events and their meanings and we, as if it's a piece of paper, and we stuff it in our body. We stuff it in the file cabinet. And we tend to not look at it any longer. And there's a part of you possibly that is that part that you stuffed away. And what I've seen with people is it manifests in anxieties where, you're older now and you just have no idea anymore why you're anxious. It manifests in the body as dis-ease in the body. And it's really important to go looking for that piece of paper, if not only to just observe it and apply that new wisdom. You don't have to relive it. That's not at all what you want to do. You want to become the observer of it. So whether that's visual for you, clients are across the board. Some are really visual. Some have no visuals at all. It's about intention, really, for people. So hold that intention of your mind of just observing it, whether you see it or not. Thinking about it, just observing it. It's incredibly important to go through. You don't have to go through your whole past. It's about what's ailing you right now, right? What's the thing that's coming up for you right now? If you have anxiety, a little bit of anxiety, talk to it. Anxiety is almost like your child self banging at a door, and we keep that door closed because that's scary to look there. But it's actually the part of us that needs love. It needs connection. And it's just, it brings tears to my eyes that when clients go through these experiences and they connect with their younger selves in that self-love way that they never knew was possible, right? And so if I can give you anything to do, like an example of self-love to get things started, pretend you're floating all the way back in time to day one of your life and pick that baby you up, right? Imagine picking them up. Again, whether it's visual or not, the intention of doing it is what matters. Pick that baby you up and hold them. And you tell them, you are lovable. You are enough. You would never look at that baby and say, oh, that baby's unlovable, right? You would never say that that baby's not enough or not worthy, hopefully, right? So you go back and you reconnect with your younger self, that baby self. And you imagine them merging with your heart center and sort of moving through life with you instead of behind a door. Even if it's baby self, right? 5-year-old self, 10-year-old self. I think it's really important to go back and sort of become their support that they maybe didn't have. So I think when we don't process things in this life. It's not a judgment on us. We don't go into the afterlife and be judged. We get to look at our life and understand our life in many ways, understand our life and other people's lives and the lives that we might have affected or not affected. But I don't think there's any judgment of sorts. I do, from working in the spiritual field with also past life regression and life between lives, I think when it comes to emotions or patterns that people are working with, I know that one client had this amazing experience of in a hypnosis session noticing that he had completed something that he had been working on for a few lifetimes. And then this lifetime, he completed it. And in that completion, the metaphor was it was sort of like an orb of sorts, and he placed it in like a casing, and the casing became very strong, basically. So it was kind of put on the shelf in a sense and done with. So I do believe that possibly if we don't look at emotions or if we go through life ignoring our emotions or our younger self, not doing the inner child work, it's not the end of the world. I mean, it's always nicer to do. But I do believe from what I've seen with clients that it does carry on into the next life or skips lives. A lot of times in life between lives, I notice clients will pick and choose, right? Something that maybe you dealt with or didn't deal with 5 lifetimes ago. In this lifetime, you're thinking, okay, yeah, maybe it's time to do that again, right? So, but I think it's always important to look at your emotions and it's not as scary as you might imagine it is, right? I think we're scared because it's a reaction in the body, and we don't want that reaction. But you would be amazed how fast that reaction can dissipate when there's a new meaning attached to it. I worked with this client who was scared of death. And the interesting thing was that we didn't go into hypnosis to help him with that. We went into hypnosis for his anxiety and some anger stuff. So in hypnosis, he traveled, not on purpose, but back in time, all the way back to what seemed to be the very first life, the breaking off of one, right? So that pain, a little bit of pain of separation happened, but also the complete knowledge and love that he felt from that oneness, if that makes sense. So there was, the pain, a little bit of discomfort from separating from that oneness, but also while he was separating from that oneness, there was an all-knowing that is where you return to. So this client cried and cried and cried. It was beautiful crying. It wasn't painful crying. And walked out of my office feeling so good. And actually about 6 months ago, there was a client leaving. And I saw him walking up the, I'm looking at it over here, walking up the parking lot. And I thought, oh, I wonder what he's doing. And he came up to the door and he came in and he just gave me the biggest hug. and said, you know, you changed my life. I'm not scared of dying anymore. Oh my God, sorry, I'm like a mess. Um, so it's just these beautiful, oh my gosh, just these beautiful interactions with clients that um make it just so soul nourishing to do. Yeah. And it was such a simple, a simple thing that happened where we went back in time and he felt that separation and also the oneness. So I grew up in a household that we were, if you were to be an outsider and come into the house, it was very eccentric, lots of colors. We had a big altar with lots of, beautiful candles on it and feathers. And, I grew up in this household that was very much about energies and some, tarot cards was a thing growing up for me. So I was really sort of part of that into my late teens. Now, my 20s hit and my ego took the steering wheel. And so what ended up happening was I looked at that part of my life and I largely let it go. I wanted to be the business person, and not a bad thing, but I wanted to be a business person. I wanted to show my family that I was this, that, and the other thing, and get their approval. Um, but what ended up happening with that is I lost myself, right? And that's why I found myself years in school uh, thinking I wanted one thing and then wanting another thing. And I was very interested in so many things. I'm kind of this Renaissance person where I just want to do everything. But uh, it led me down the path of doing some psychology, some sciences, and then doing marketing and then art and slowly making my way into the art world of design and um, product design. So after my sleep disorder that I mentioned earlier, that's when I started to look at my life and really delve into who I was. And I'm still years later learning that there's more to me than I really expected. Which is lovely and scary at the same time, but I'm working on it. But what actually got me moving, besides the, sleep disorder and anxiety and stuff, was that around that time, um, I was starting to delve into NDEs. So probably, I'm going to say a year or two before my sleep disorder. I started to go down the NDE rabbit hole, and I started to link it to things that I had experienced, those two NDE-like experiences. And what got the train moving, so to speak, is reading the book by Anita Moorjani, Dying to Be Me. And I thought, holy cow, like this is amazing. And it was a switch. It was a turning point in my life where sort of a light came on and I started to really take a look at who I was and wanted to be. I kept thinking, oh, I got to go back to design. I got to go back to design, but um, I couldn't. My body would just freeze when I would think about it because of, I guess, the issues that happened basically when I got into the depth of it, the issues with my health. So that's sort of how my life unfolded in terms of my expression of myself and how I got here. And now I love I hold workshops on intuitive workshops and card workshops like tarot oracle and stuff and art workshops and all those things. But I love working with people online and in the office around the world, really. I've got everyone from Australia to Britain. Yeah, it's just so wonderful. I would never, looking at my life now, want any other job. But when it comes to the higher self, I tell people, and I mean, I don't know if I'm right or wrong. I'll only know at the end. But I feel like the higher self is you are already your higher self. I feel like over the um, over the ages, we as humans like to compartmentalize things. We like separation to an extent. So the term soul is a lovely term to use. I really like the idea of aspect or fractal, right? But um, there's no real difference, I don't believe, between your soul and your higher self. You are that already. So when I take people through connecting to their higher self, I mean, the sound of it sounds like there's a separation there. But when we get into it, it is a real, just like a moment of reframing that you are already that. What you are is merging with that and becoming that and remembering who you are. And it's in that remembering for many clients that it's sort of a wake up call, like, oh yeah, it's a moment of awe, um, and an inspiration, and knowing that they are just connected already to their higher self. If they are their higher self, and in those moments of calm and meditation, self-hypnosis, hypnosis, it you can really, I mean, that's what we're doing in hypnosis. It's very much a channeling session through me and through the client. And it's just that. It's I don't believe there's like, oh, you're this soul, and then you're distinct. The personality is distinct, but I don't think the soul is distinct from the higher self. So I think what I always like to share is the idea of staying away from fear, um, looking for love in the world. It doesn't have to be relationship love. It's um, everything to do with love, everything to do with a good feeling, a higher vibration. Joy is a good word. Live looking for joy instead of, looking for fear, which is so easy to do in this world right now, right? But I think if you sort of detach from fear and you go down the route of love and joy, um, it's just so much better. It's so much better for your body, right? For your soul, for your higher self, let's say, to be in that state of joy. And it doesn't have to be constant. It doesn't have to be running around all day in a joyful state. Um, there are ups and downs. At first, when you go up and you feel this intense joy, the old, level of where you used to sit, when you hit that level, it feels way worse because you're just so used to the joy. But know that you can bounce back very easily and make a choice, right? Remember, I think um, uh, there's so much good to come from remembering that you are powerful, you are an infinite being, and remember that you have choice. I think often I see with clients, um, we forget that we have choice until we're told we have choice, and we remember that we have choice. So in choice, there's power. right? You get your power back and make a choice to release fear, to turn away from it and look for joy. Yeah, so if you want to get a hold of me, my website is www.somhypnosis.com, Som Hypnosis. You might be asking what the SOM is, SOM, it's state of mind, because we just think that your state of mind is the most important thing. So you can contact me there, and if you want a one-on-one, if you want to work with me, I think below in the description there will be my one-on-one booking page, and just go ahead and book a Zoom meeting with me.